today we have a really special guest. This father, Texas State alumnus. He's an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, a mentor. There's a huge list. The podcast is going to be an hour, so if I keep going on, we'll probably won't have time. So, but I want to introduce this man. His name is Ruben Becerra.
Well said. Right on. People have a hard time with that.
What makes Ruben?
Who is this person you speak
who is
of?
This
All right.
mysterious character?
Well, I always have to go to the beginning. So I was raised in Southern California, little city, Palm Springs, a place that loves simplicity. And every time I see those bumper stickers, "Simplify or Die," I'm thinking, yes, that speaks to my soul. Frank Lloyd Wright inspired our whole community. And that was a place that was less is more and not so much clutter, and a life of peace and tranquility was what people seek when they go to where I was raised. And so that has never left me. It's always been a part of me, and loving nature. And when you have that looking glass that you look through, you end up automatically having an appreciation that's a little more quiet than the cool things that you may interact with on a daily basis. And so I've always tried to appreciate, he who seeks wisdom is wise. I've always tried to appreciate those around me and the things that move others, because I very easily was my dad's favorite son, and I was so lucky to have heard that from him. And I should just keep going. Yeah. Well, so I appreciated my dad a lot, and I discovered that what a gift it was to have my own family. And when I had a family, I was like, wow, what a compounded gift, because I loved my dad with all my heart. And when I had the opportunity to be loved like I loved my dad, I said, shit, what a gift. Yeah. You know, you got to see, it feels like the rest of the kaleidoscope. It was a real treat to me. And so I felt, I constantly feel blessed and grateful, and I'm a grateful soul. And if I had a tombstone message choice, and if these guys remembered it, and they were to say, what's going to be on your tombstone? Grateful soul. And that's the place I come from. That's who I am, because that is the cornerstone of the things that move me. I'm grateful for people that I work with. I'm grateful for people that I interact with. I'm grateful for the organizations. I'm grateful for the vibe, that the movements, the fights, the push. I see the little person. I see the fight. I see the passion. And I see that in everything and in everyone. And so when you understand that tiny little piece I just struggled to go through, it helps you to see through my looking glass. To me, everyone is someone's loved one. To me, everyone is important. To me, everyone is someone. And that's how I operate my life. When I'm asked to go to the high school or the college and talk to different groups, I have been for years, they could ask me to talk about, like the last thing I did was for the high school, and it was through the United Way. And they asked me to say something about the entrepreneurial piece of the food and beverage hospitality industry. I won't turn my head so much because it messes with this sound. And everyone went. They had executive chefs. They had an assortment of people. And then I came up, and it was to guide these high school seniors and give them direction for their future, to their jump-off point. And my perspective was one of, well, I think the most important thing you should do is make sure what you're doing is what you like. Because so often and so easily someone will go down a path because they want to please someone, because I feel people are intrinsically good. There's another morsel of my looking glass. And so most people want to please those they love. And they may accidentally pick something for a career at that stage in their lives that doesn't suit them. And so what I told them was, hey, the first thing you should do is be true to yourself and reflecting in self-analysis and finding things that you love and that move you. And what I was doing was standing there on that stage talking to an auditorium full of kids was, if these were my kids, what would I want them to be told? Or if I was there, what would I be telling myself 30 years ago, 25 years ago? And so that's how I move through my day, is the golden rule: do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. And that's what moves me. And it's a gift and it's a blessing. Hopefully I answered that.
Yes. And to keep going from that, like as I'm getting older, I like learning. I learn something from every human being can teach me something. And,
That's right.
When I met you, I met you through, I was in a program where we were mentoring high school students in San Antonio. And then I was working with Krista.
That's right.
And she introduced me to you, and then, but yeah, I mean, aside from like the whole, you helped me out. You gave me the confidence, to keep doing what I'm doing right now, basically.
Beautiful. Thank you. What a blessing to hear that.
But what I was trying to say is, I noticed how you were and the hustle you have, but also what I really learned though was how you're not afraid to love. Like when you talk to Ruben Jr., y'all talk, and then he's leaving. He's, hey, I love you.
That's right.
I noticed that. I will see that, and that's, you're not afraid to
show affection,
show love, to show affection.
That's right.
And that's what I feel like. That's what part of being a man is. And I get, I learned stuff from my own dad too. But it's not just your own dad that teaches you how to become a man. You gotta look around. There's different characteristics that you can get from different people. And you're one of them, and I want to tell you that that you taught me.
Thank you.
How to be myself. I'm trying to become myself more and more unapologetic. I don't want to apologize for being myself to people, for showing love.
That's beautiful.
And I'm not saying I'm there, but you helped me like realize that that's something that I need to work on.
It's a lofty goal.
Yeah,
it's a lofty goal. That's very awesome. Well, I've got that gift that I see everything as a gift. I'm a grateful soul, and so I have that gift of being raised by my mom and dad, of course. I mean, but I reference my dad on this subject matter. My dad would cry with movies, and he showed affection, to summarize. He just showed affection. And so I was, like you're saying, I was shown that it's okay to be affectionate. And so I'm sharing that to my kids. And in Spanish, my mom's cliche that I love to reference is, el ejemplo arrastra. And so the point is, you can tell them all you want, do this, do that. But when you're leading by example, it moves people. And so I show my kids, be affectionate, be loving, because you don't know what you have until it's gone and all that kind of thing. And so the idea is lead by example. And so the coolest part about that is you see it. And the place that I've been fortunate to work towards, that I have finally reached, and I just continue to work my best to stay there, is not judging others. Easier said than done. There's assessment and there's judging, and I genuinely don't judge people. I have to assess for safety's sake and other common sense things that we deal with on day-to-day life. But if someone's got something going on, I go to the phrase, hate the sin, not the sinner. And so it's like, well, I don't like what you're doing maybe, but it's not that I don't like you, because I go back to the cornerstone, you're someone's loved one. So all my thought processes, these little pillars that shape my thought process, my looking glass, my kaleidoscope, they all have to agree. And so if you see, the more I talk to you about things, the more that is exposed about the pattern or the rubric that my thoughts go through. And it is one of do good, leave it better than you found it, harm no one, and people aren't judging you. And when you think and walk around with the idea that people aren't judging you because you remember that old golden rule, well, it's not a golden rule, but it's in the Bible. I'm not a good quoter, but I'll paraphrase it this way. That says, you'll be judged by the methods you judge others, or you'll be judged by the sword whatever, right? You guys have heard that somehow? Some way. Well, so the idea is, it's basically saying that the way you see others is the way you'll be seen. Well, lucky for me, I don't see people with judging eyes. So if I'm wearing torn shoes, guess what? I'm going to walk into a place and I'm not going to feel like you're snickering at me, because I'm not snickering at your shoes. And so it's a real cool gift. And so I walk with a lighter soul on that front. And so for that reason, I get to walk around and be affectionate towards my family. And if you don't like it, I never noticed, because I'm not looking for that response from you. And I'm grateful. It's a little more grounding, and it allows you to psychologically express yourself in the most wholesome way that you feel. And that's what leads my life, feel.
I feel like we all should go to Palm Springs. Is that where that comes from?
Yeah, right.
Where's this? This is in the desert?
It's a great starting point. We went to Sedona one time. And,
I love Sedona.
Yes, we went for the Vortex experience. And let me tell you, where we live now, Monika, my wife, has wanted to live there for a lot of years, and we finally got the opportunity to. In San Marcos, there's a place called Spring Lake Hills. And people say historically that our lake, Spring Lake, as like the name says, is fed by underground springs. And so it's continuously fed year-round by springs, 72 degrees, and it's a year-round thing, and it's pretty awesome. That's what makes our San Marcos River. So the thing that people say is this place where Spring Lake Hills has been the longest continuously inhabited place in North America.
Wow.
And hey, water is life. And so we happen to be blessed some more, and we live on top of a little hill, and it's a neighborhood called Spring Lake Hills, and we live on Mimosa Circle. That's why we were having mimosas this morning. And
that's
I
where
tell
we'll
you
be
what,
next Sunday.
That's right. And we have the coolest, most peaceful vibe. Our neighborhood is just so tranquil, so peaceful. So I feel that you end up living, moving, or interacting in a place that you're vibrating at that similar frequency.
Okay.
And because I am happy and a peaceful soul, and Monica's one in that space, and I feel like we're able to continue this vibration of this peaceful gratitude at Spring Lake Hill. So if you ever want to go, man, you guys have an open invitation.
And I feel like you're saying like you live in a really like the vibrations of where you live, but I feel like that's a homeostasis because like you give back to your community just as much as the community gives to you. You know, like you can you tell us about what you do in San Marcos? Like everything that you do. I mean, it's a lot, but
I'm not. You're right, and I thank you. And I don't want to sound arrogant, but I'm going to probably forget some of the stuff I do, just to be truthful. I'll say currently, I am the owner of the oldest restaurant in town, and I say I, but it's a team. Okay, if I make that interchangeable, that'll be the best because nothing is an island. No man is an island. So we own Gil's Broiler, which is the oldest restaurant in town. We own the Mansky Roll Bakery, the oldest bakery in town. We own Dixie Cream Donuts, the oldest donut shop in town. And with those machines, those vessels, those contributions of feeding our community, we feed our community as well with it, which by way of donating chronically to, for example, when we had a big flood, you guys heard of our floods that we had a couple of years ago. We were nonstop feeding. We were making production nonstop, giving away food to anybody that was affected by the flood, for example, to all the first responders. It's what we do, period. Through United Way, we help. I'm the president of the Centro Cultural Hispano de San Marcos. That's a long name, but there it is. I'm the president of the Downtown Association. I'm with Dr. Arellano and a few others from the university. She's the dean of students at Texas State. We serve as an advisory board to the Hispanic Policy Network, which is a longstanding organization designed to get faculty and staff engaged in university things of usually Hispanic descent, but it's not exclusive to being only Hispanic. You see, because Texas State is a Hispanic serving institution, and so Texas State's doing a good job of bringing Hispanics in, but our question is, what are you doing about keeping them? So the retention rate is another cliche for you, the 800-pound gorilla in the room that no one's talking about, but our dropout rate is too high, and it's increasing, and it's not good. And so the Hispanic Policy Network does some of that, which is, hey, you have a roadmap for this HSI, Hispanic Serving Institution. Are you following all these things? Are you doing everything you can be? Because the university is getting federal funds because of this designation. So are you using them wisely? And so that's one of the pieces that they do. I was on the Economic Development Board. I've just moved off of that onto, and I've been happy to do it, I asked to be moved to the Arts Commission for our community. So now I'm an Arts Commissioner. I was a Planning and Zoning Commissioner for a handful of years. I was on the Parks Board, Parks and Rec Board, Convention and Visitors Bureau Board. I was a chair of the Main Street Advisory Board. I served as a chair of the Blue Ribbon Bond Committee. you get the idea. I can keep going, but that gives you the gist of it.
What keeps you sharp? What keeps you wanting to be involved and just continuously just being involved in the community?
I've got a real gratitude for the community and how it served and allowed the wonderful, blessed life that I've been able to have there. My kids are blessed and gifted, and we've been, very well received. Our community supported us. They allowed me to have a livelihood. And so I give back in part for that. And then the other part is selfish. Like Oprah said, hey, once you discover that you like giving, you give often. And so when I hear someone's story, someone's situation, I can relate. And that's my strength. And like Monika points out, your strength is very often your weakness. And so I can relate to people's heartache or dreams or goals. And it's not always me pushing out my ideas. I also help people with their own ideas. And so I hear someone's heartache and I think, God, $50? I can do it. I'll give you $50. Or, hey, we need a donation of that. I think, it's all so, to me, everything's low-hanging fruit to be helpful. And so I do it. And then I do it again. And that's what keeps me going, because I see it as easy to do. And the second thing is, I see how rewarding it is. And it's like a kiss or a hug or a smile. It costs so little yet gives so much. Yeah,
and I've witnessed that. I've been around when you did the pink fire truck at
yes,
Dixie.
That's right.
For the soccer coach,
That's right. Texas State soccer coach. Been a longtime family friend of ours, and she was diagnosed with cancer. And what we did was we did a huge drive at one of our shops, and we said every single penny that we sell of our products, we will donate to her medical expenses. And that's a lofty goal, to tell a lot of people to come somewhere to support something. But we feel that everyone's busy, everyone's got a lot going on, and you want to do good. Most people are interested in helping others. The whole people are intrinsically good vibe. And so if you make it accessible to them, that's why crowdfunding is so easy and so fruitful, because you want to help. And if you give them the vessel with which to do this, then they'll be more inclined to. And so, man, we raised thousands of dollars for her, and she was happy, and so were we.
So, Ruben, I'm curious, you're passionate, you're badass or whatever. But
well, that's not what I'm saying.
No, I mean, you're not saying it directly, but I mean, we all can agree on it. But what made you this way? Have you always been this way, since California? And also, why San Marcos? How'd you end up there? Why not Austin or Dallas, Houston? What made you this way, and why there too?
Yeah, well, originally when I was raised in California, and we moved to Texas, and where we moved was Brownsville. Not hating on the Valley, but it wasn't my vibe.
Ours.
Right. It wasn't. It really wasn't. My mom still lives there. There's nothing wrong with the place. It doesn't operate at a frequency that I can appreciate. That's the best way for me to say it. And so we moved to Corpus, and we used college as an excuse. Monika and I said, I want to get there's my environmental piece again, okay? I wanted to get an environmental biology degree. And what do you know? Brownsville didn't have one, so we got to go. So we used that as an excuse to move out of the Valley. Who can argue with that? And so we moved to Corpus, and I'm third generation hospitality, food and beverage, hotel, restaurant, country club management. And so I ended up working my way through college, got a job with the Whataburger family. And I opened their flagship Whataburger by the Bay. I was their opening general manager. You go to any Whataburger today, and their big, beautiful two-story Whataburger is in a restaurant somewhere. If you just look around, there's a picture of it. It's a nice place. And they liked what I did. They liked my attention to detail and the care I gave the place. And it all, my leadership style, it's the same philosophy that I'm sharing with you here today. See people, care for them, give them the ability, give them a voice, give them the chance to do those things that they feel they can impact an organization with. And I did, and it worked, and I was excessively successful, and I was very grateful. I was asked to come up here to the Central Texas market, and I said, okay, no problem. Well, Monika is willing to go. We're gone. And so we moved up here to Austin. with Whataburger. And then we had an opportunity to buy Gil's broiler. And I wasn't done with college yet. And so we said, well, Monika, do I cash in my 401k? She's part of the ride. We're attached at the hip. We've been married for 24 years now. And so she's got to agree on it. And so I said, hey, do we move to San Marcos and buy this tired little restaurant that's seemingly, it looked like it to us, and that's what we were led to believe. We're going to close down if we don't buy it. You know, there's that bleeding heart vibe. And do we cash our 401k in and buy this place and go for it? And everyone around us said, no way, are you crazy? This dusty, tired little place, don't do it. And you're leaving a great company, and Whataburger is a great company. And Monika and I looked at each other after we saw it, and we're like, yeah, let's do it. Her own parents were like, no, guys, don't do it. You're crazy. And so we moved to San Marcos for Gil's Broiler and continued my education at Texas State, but really never looked back. It was work that moved me, but I feel it was divine intervention.
Mm-hmm. And also in that one, I think it was your dad, too. Because remember, he said about the shade tree. Like, remember he made the analogy that if you're going to open a business, to open a business next to a big shade tree.
That's
and
right.
So, like, whenever we went, it was not a good restaurant. I mean, and I love Gil. Gil has become like our really good friend. And I hope we don't get in trouble for saying this, but Gil, the first time we walked in there, was literally at the fryer making fries, and he had a cigarette in his mouth, and I'm pretty sure like the ashes were about to fall in. And he was like, cool. It was totally fine for him. Yeah. And so, and everyone was like, don't buy it. It's not a good thing. But when we were looking at the location, everyone said no. But then we felt like maybe Texas State is the shade tree. Like maybe that's the tree. And so that's what we went for.
That's right. My dad would always say, if you want a good shade, get next to a good tree. My dad always said that to me. And Monika and I reminded me of that right now. And Texas State we saw as a good tree. Since 1899, it's going nowhere. And so this place can only go up if we do a better job of running it. And so we felt good about it.
So being such a positive person, and I just met you a couple minutes ago, how do you deal with negativity, and how do you deal with trials and tribulations in your life?
It's a wonderful reality that I have the opportunity to get upset, but I have two jobs: get upset and get over it. And I'm grateful that I tell my family, I said, okay, just give me a few minutes, I'll get over it, because I get mad. Like, something makes me mad, but my biggest goal, here's my goal, here's a wish. And so my wish is, here's how I feel I should interact about. I don't want to turn my head because then I won't, okay. I'm just used to eye contact. I know. But the biggest goal for me is when something undesirable happens to me, or that I experience something that doesn't suit me, the biggest, best, highest use of my mind's energy would be to observe it like birds passing through the sky, notice it's there, and not be moved by it. That's my goal. That's a lesson I haven't learned yet. I'm a hot-blooded Mexican. It is what it is. Nevertheless, that's my strength and my weakness, because I'm also very passionate. I've been working towards having that end result, but the truth is I very often get upset, and as quickly as I can find my way out and get over it, because I try to channel that energy into something that will be fruitful, traction to elicit a change that I seek, so that if it's a problem, I can make sure it doesn't happen again, or do my best to correct it.
And we all know the reality of being an entrepreneur is most of the time things don't go as planned.
Right.
Things don't go right.
When you're working through others.
Yeah. So I mean, things aren't always gonna be looking pretty, and like the way you deal with things, I guess. How do you? Yeah. Like so. Like you're saying, like you deal with like adversity in certain ways. I guess what do you have, like, for someone like me, or that's, I consider myself, I'm an entrepreneur.
Yes, you are.
And that's my dream. Or other people that might be listening, people that they see other people in power, they certainly, especially right now in 2017, I don't see a lot of people like me, my background, in leadership positions in corporate America or stuff like that. So what do you have to say to someone that's young and that has dreams of being an entrepreneur one day, owning their own business?
There are differences, and get to know them. There are managers and there are leaders. There's the first one I'll break for you. A manager walks around with a clipboard and manages a task. A leader is interacting with people. Here's how I will try to tell people that I'm bringing up in leadership. I will say this to them. I will say, you can manage a task, but you need to lead the people. And now, when someone's on the clock, as long as I'm around, they'll do anything I want. I have no problem, because of my own work ethic, I have no problem believing anyone around me will do anything I want for as long as I want them to do it. To me, I'm unfazed by that statement, because it is a fact in my world. The thing that I strive for, the thing that moves me, is not what they'll do when I'm there. My kids can finish the sentence if I wanted to, but the truth is this. The thing that I strive to teach others is, what will you do when I'm gone? When I'm punched out, left the site, somewhere else, then if I moved you, if I inspired you, if I motivated you in such a way that you will stay fruitful for our cause while I'm gone without supervision, then I'm successful. And so there's a difference between managing, leading, and there's a difference between leading and being an entrepreneur. And so a leader is energetic. An entrepreneur is more into a spirit of. And so what I say is, label yourself an entrepreneur. And some people have mistakenly said to themselves, I'm an entrepreneur, to use it as a cop-out, for example, to say they're unemployed, but they're, almost mocking the spirit of an entrepreneur. Maybe because they want to be or don't want to be unemployed. Nevertheless, it just seems like that would be a good thing to not do to ourselves, because we're the finer granulated piece that's coming from ground zero, because Monika and I couldn't buy a gallon of milk when we got married. We were broke. Okay? And so my point is, you work from zero, and when you ruin or mess with the perceptions of these words that motivate a lot of us, then you're kind of undermining the whole organizational effort of us as a people to move up just a shade. And if you see that as an up, which I do. And so the entrepreneurial spirit is something that is, oddly enough, something that needs to be cultivated. It is in my opinion, a personal discipline. I've been an entrepreneur for a long time. You have to have, in my opinion, you should have the idea that failure is a distant possibility, but highly not likely. Don't be afraid to fail, is how I'm trying to say it. Don't think that the poorhouse is just around the corner, like Regis Philbin would always say. Mm-hmm. Monika always said that to me. The poorhouse is just around the corner, like Regis says. I said, I know. Because we are not afraid to gamble in business dealings. We cashed out our very secure 401k into a very unsure business world. And so what I tell you is, do a lot of self-reflecting. Find places and people to be around that help you be as centered as possible, specifically because you're going to need to rely on, in my opinion, to be most successful, your hunch a lot. And if you move by your hunch a lot, then you're staying open and you're staying receptive. And there's a word called the zeitgeist. And what that word means is the feel or the tone of the space and time. And I feel that the most successful entrepreneurs are on the pulse of the community or the industry or whatever you're dealing with. And so if you're fresh and cutting edge and hip and whatever you may want to reference it as, then I feel you'll have your best chance to be the most good or effective. And I think those are universal descriptions, because when I work with people, I've always tried to be that universal. Whether you're going to make a cool looking cap, APC Collective, or you're going to make a Apple computer. I think there's a guy named Simon Sinek, and I really like him. He's on YouTube, and he says, think with the why. You know, if you say why you're doing things, it's really like the spirit of things. If you tie into the spirit of what you're doing and the spirit of what's going on, then you can be most successful, because if you're thinking it, if you're feeling it, chances are someone else is too. And if you can find a way to provide it, perfect. So, but you're going to get a lot of, you know, the typical stamp out phrases that you'll hear are, oh, it's never going to work. Oh, you shouldn't do it. But the truth is, if you're average and status quo, then nothing will change. And it's only those outliers that will generate change. And so an outlier is emotionally expensive.
I'm going to chime in really quick. Can I? So, my name is Monika Becerra. I am Ruben's. I know, but I just like I should say, like, I'm Ruben's wife. We've been married for 24 years, and I have told him for the past 24 years that I'm his number one student. Because I really have learned, and even my parents say, like, who are you? Like, how did you even become this person? And they attribute it to Ruben. But the thing about Ruben is, when I first met him, and he was telling me he had, like, I don't know, you wanted to open like a auto mechanic shop. And he was like, I'm going to open an auto mechanic shop. And why I knew that he was going to be a business owner and an entrepreneur that succeeded is because Ruben didn't just say that he wanted to open an auto mechanic shop. Ruben said he wanted to open an auto mechanic shop and had the 20-step program as to how he was going to open it, what it was going to look like, what he was going to do to get the money to do it. It wasn't just like the dream. He had like a plan to like implement it. And I really feel that, like, cause a lot of people ask you this question, and I know like you give, but on your answer, but on the sidelines, like me watching, like, I feel like that was a really big thing. Like, he has always a plan. The other thing about Ruben is that nothing, I don't want to say nothing, but like 99.9% that I know I've never seen freaks him out. So like, all of a sudden, like, the flood happens and there's like water coming into our business or whatever. And he's like, okay, like, what do we do? Like, you just clean. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what are we going to do? Like, and he doesn't worry. Like, he's just all the time like, okay, comes up with a plan and then implements that plan. And to me, like, that's what I think like makes an entrepreneur, is somebody who is always remains calm, especially like when things get really difficult, and then, sits back and thinks, okay, what needs to happen? And he says all the time, I have a lot of people, I don't know, like 30, 40, 50 people that work for him, and he's like, I have to worry about my livelihood, but these people also pay their rent, their car payment, their whatever, so I'm in charge of making the right decision for all the people. So I think that's what the fact that he has that in his mind, like, makes him a good entrepreneur. Anyway, that's all.
I think there's also something to be said about having a support system. Yes. And you talked about your father, your upbringing, or coming from a place that valued simplicity, which probably means they valued what was real or what was meaningful more than anything else. As a fellow desert baby, and I'm obsessed with the desert, but I didn't love it growing up, and I do now. I feel like the things that push pretty much everybody we work with, and the common denominator in this collective that we've created, or that we're creating, and that we're still kind of trying to figure out or trying to grow and nurture, because it's all of ours. The common denominator is that their hearts are so beautiful and pure, and they're motivated by things that money can't buy. Mm-hmm. And it's not about my name or their name. It's about what kind of impact can we have. And as a person that decided to let her mom make those caps, not hem by hem, but she did order them. I feel like it's really beautiful, like, starting a journey and having someone believe on you. These guys believe in each other, and they're going to help, build whatever's next in the empire, the industry of, all things content and creative, creation, whatever that is. And I probably started my firm because I had Ingrid, who believed in what we were trying to do, or who I had been in her mind. And that's because of this person sitting right here, Sabrina, who, and I tell you this all the time, like, we did what we could do, and we did as you started crying, so now I'm gonna cry.
Hey, it's okay.
It's a truth, and I feel it, and I'm gonna allow it to be felt. But
That's right.
whatever I was able to do and whatever we were able to do was because we were together. So regardless of titles or perceptions, like we built something because we were together. And you talk about being your husband's number one student, you know, you're his number one champion too. And whatever he's been able to do, like I see it, like you bought the business because your wife believed happy wife, happy life.
That's
but it's
right.
like, you know, and we haven't even gotten to the fact that we all come from a place that's very similar, right?
That's right.
And so I don't want to discount the beauty and the brilliance of spirit and common bond, and whether that's a man and a woman, you know, best friends that become sisters, colleagues that become sisters, you know, friends that become like brothers and entrepreneurs together. Like you can create so much more if you're living outside yourself. And it's not just your ambition. It's what kind of impact am I going to have? What kind of legacy am I going to give my family? And I feel like if you're driven by that, and we're at a time, South by is, you know, filled with people who have dreams for big reasons, for small reasons, for selfish reasons. But I feel like the biggest opportunity is to just live outside yourself. That don't make it about you. Make it about how can you serve and how can you be the vessel for whatever good wants to come through you. And then how do you take the energy that's dependent on you or that sees the good in you and wants you to do more and just honor that. You know, we're doing this because my sister said you should really put this together. And it's like, against all of my own fears, it's like I trust her. You know, I don't see it, but I trust her and I trust them. And so I feel like the lessons that they wanted to hear from you, and I've just stayed quiet because I'm like, yeah, I get it. And I'm going to let them talk because this is theirs. But I just wanted to honor that because I feel like whatever you've been able to do, and you have a beautiful family. I can't wait to see what your boys do. And I feel like we should talk to them too, because the legacy that a man builds, and you're a different type of man. You remind me of my father because he's very unafraid and unapologetic about showing emotion and talking through spirit. I know Sedona because that's where we went on vacations as a kid. We were eating tofu burgers in El Paso, Texas with Vitamixes like in the 80s, pre-Whole Foods.
That's good.
So it was a different type of upbringing, but what a beautiful thing you've created.
Well, I want to tell you that we work as a pack. We are always together, and here my kids can be in 12 different places. Look where we live and look what's going on around us, and they're here with us, and I'm chronically grateful for that. They willingly come with us, and this journey as a team is enriching their lives and putting deep roots down for them. And so I want to also add in my description, because I told you I'd forget something, Monika and I opened, but she's the backbone and day-to-day operations of it, Specialized Medical Solutions. And the slogan of Specialized Medical Solutions is passionately serving people.
I love that.
And on a daily basis, Monika helps patients with breast cancer, with prosthetics and orthotics, venous insufficiency, wound care, lymphedema. I mean, people going through hard things in their lives, people that are terminal. She's had many patients die. And she helps them on a daily basis and gives an enormous amount of time, energy, and passion daily to these people. And she comes home and feels so enriched by it. And I'm grateful that I helped her to be able to do that, to see her passion and to facilitate it and have her do it on a daily basis. I'm grateful for that. San Antonio office, by the way. There's your plug in.
There we go. We're going to help. We're going to figure out how we can help.
There you go.
Oh, Ruben, so, I mean, you're a busy man. What time does your day start? And like when you wake up, how do you get ready for the day? Because you're going to be busy that whole day. How do you prepare your mind for the day ahead of you?
Well, I'm really grateful that I can choose if I'm going to sleep in or not with a simple task of, do I leave the curtains open or not? Because I'm very sensitive to light. And so we all are, I guess, ultimately. And so if I leave the curtains open during the week mainly, I wake up right when the birds start chirping. That's before the sunrise. And that's just natural for me. And I wake up naturally with the sunlight. And I feel that is the most healthy way for me to get up instead of some scary, jolting alarm And so I like waking up that way. And what I do is, the very first thing I try to do is take in, it's the living in the moment, living in the now, and take in that I just woke up to and I am a part of. And when I am sitting my mind on this piece, then slowly my thoughts will come about what I want to accomplish. And it's like taking a float down the river. I have things I want to do, hope to accomplish, but I laughed because the other day I told Ruben, I said, I had 10 things on my to-do list today and I only did one. But I didn't stop. I was constantly productive. And so it's almost like triaging. I take things as they come and I prioritize. Do I have something to do? All the time, just like you've said. And I'm grateful that I control my own calendar. I'm constantly prioritizing. Like when Monika stays home, I didn't know she knew this or realized it and never shared it until recently. But, she owns her own business too. And so she says in the morning, I'm going to stay home today. And I said, oh, okay. And then I start getting on my phone and I start doing things on my phone. And 20 minutes later, I keep doing things on my phone. And I'm home all day too. And she's all, I know what you're doing. And I said, what's that? She said, you're moving your calendar around so you can stay home too. And I said, yes, I am. And she was grateful and she appreciates that. I could say, oh, I got to do this. Or no. And so I keep my priorities straight. And to me, family is first. And I live that. Again, el ejemplo arrastra. And here it is, family first. And guess who's with me? Family. And so I've canceled very important meetings because of family. And I'll continue to do it and I make no apologies. And so, but we got to eat. So if there's a leak somewhere or if there's a problem, and hey, I could say, let's go for a ride. Let's go do this. And so what I try to do is make those decisions on the things that are coming around me in the most peaceful way. And at the same time, I get to expose them to a thought process because when and if I walk away, they have the opportunity to make sound decisions or as good as they can in those scenarios, whatever they may be.
I would ask a question about your sons because you're a father, a businessman, a husband, obviously, but what is it that you want for your sons?
I want my sons to be happy first. And for that reason, I encourage them to get degrees outside of the hospitality industry. What I didn't want to do was to be that old, stereotypical dad saying, you guys have to do what I did. No. You guys be free. Be free to be happy and do whatever you want, and we are here to support you. But I'm very grateful that that if you love someone, set them free, right? That one, I don't have to recite it. And so I said, guys, do what you want. And slowly these beauties have started to slide into the things that we have raised them doing. And I'm very grateful because since they decided to step in a more active role in what we're doing, I said, oh, okay, well then I'll ramp it up. So now we're starting the San Marcos Soda Company. We're starting a bottling company. I can keep going. Now we're doing more things. It's like, all right. And the soda company's revolving around the idea of pure cane sugar, wholesome drinks, and wholesome things. And so we're going to start dabbling into some other tasks and things that will keep them busy and earning a paycheck. And the idea is we'll continue to grow the family line together, since this is what you want to do. But I never wanted to pressure them.
That's beautiful. Do you guys have anything you want to share?
Yeah, sure. There you go. I have an example of my dad. I'm Ruben Jr., by the way, of what he was saying about like letting us free and do what we want. So at Texas State, my major was biochemistry, and I just became a senior. And I told my dad, you know what? I don't want to be a biochemist anymore. I'm graduating in less than a year, and I told him that. And I said, I think I want to change my major to finance so I can help out the family business. And I was like, oh, I'm waiting for the backlash. Like, you wasted 3 years in college, and now it's all for naught. And he didn't come. He just said, okay, you can do what you want to do. And as long as you're happy. And I was like, it is. I'm happy. You know, you have the street smarts of the business, and if I can get the book smarts, we can meet halfway and be happy together. You know, keep our business afloat and make sure everything's good, and we can keep doing all these family trips, all these family events. You know, I learned from my dad that family is very important, and so I have my own apartment with my brother. We're roommates, and I'm always at the house. Like I have my own apartment and I have my own food, and I'm always at my parents' house, and it's like just because I want to. You know, it's fun, and you know, this morning. Last night my brother and I went out, and
of course you did.
Yeah, we didn't go back to my apartment. We went to my parents' house. We're like, let's just go to their house. And then we woke up, and I was like, hey, we're going to Austin. And we're like, yeah, we're gonna go to Austin later. I was like, oh, let's have breakfast. And we made pancakes, and we're just hanging out. You know, it's just I can be in my apartment with my brother eating noodles or whatever, but I go to my parents' house and just, you know, like it's family first. That's what we learn. And we're not always. Sometimes we bicker, my brother and I, but my dad's like, it doesn't matter. Like, you guys are brothers, and it's always gonna be you two against the world, and stick together no matter what. And like, if you have little fights, get over them quick and make up.
That's everything.
Yeah.
How do you keep your dad up to date with things? Pop culture. Well, I mean, you're really up to date with everything, but like, what about the music? Do you all listen to the same music?
Yeah, my brother Christian, he's the music person in the family. He's always like, hey, like he just puts on the song in the car. We're like, who is this? Like, we like it. Like, put it on all our phones. So we just, you know, in the car ride, we give him like all our 3 phones. Like, put it on our phone. We're at it. And it's like, all right, you know, it's this guy, and it's pretty cool. And yeah, my brother's more pop culture. I do a lot of business with my dad, and I try to run the stuff with him. And my brother helps me also, but I mostly just stick to like books and reading and staying home. My brother's the one that takes me out. He's like, you need to go out and have fun with our friends, because we have friends, but I'm always like, no, I just want to be at home with my dad.
Isn't that cool? I'm so grateful.
Let's just go to the movies together. And he's like, yes, we'll do that, but we also need to make sure we, you know, don't lose our friends, because we
don't go out with them. Yeah, yesterday we went and saw King Kong.
Yeah, we saw King Kong, and then we went out. And so I was like, all right, we can do both. But my brother's the one that's always like pushing me to go out, and you know, he's the younger one, so it's kind of funny. But he's like, make sure.
Christian, talk about your technology and keeping us up to date. What do you do?
Yeah, he's the one on the music and stuff. Pop culture.
Use that one.
Okay.
Well, I'm Christian, the other son. Are you coming this way? Okay. I feel like I'm always like on Twitter and Facebook, Instagram, everything. And so I follow like all these things on Twitter, like Complex Magazine, all those crazy things. And I mean, I'm always around my parents, as my brother was saying. So I'm always sharing what I'm seeing, or if I see a funny video, or like the Cash Me Outside girl, you know, I'll show my dad on YouTube, like all those things, you know. And
also the way you just showed us about sailing.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was watching this vlogger. It's like this Australian couple that are like sailing the world, and I was like, we should take sailing lessons and to go travel the world. I don't know. I'm more like at this moment in my life, just like trying to experience a lot of things. Like I'm recently signed up for like this acting class that I'm going to start in like a week. And I want to do like music too. I mean, I just want to kind of get to know like every aspect of like all the culture that we're in today, so I can figure out what I may want to do as a hobby, you know.
Or a profession, you never know.
Or profession, yeah. But I really do want to expand the business with my parents. I mean, it's a dream.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Well done, Dad, Mom.
We're grateful souls, man. We're grateful. We're just grateful, truly. We were running for office, and we were told to take pictures of what we were doing, and we started letting the world into who we are, and people didn't believe it. People were telling us, that's not real. Who are you guys really? Are your kids really with you? Are you really affectionate? Are you genuinely hugging your kids? Or are you doing it for the photo op? I was like, you guys are crazy. This is us on the daily. And it was like foreign to a lot of people, and I find that so unfortunate.
I don't know that it's, I feel like it's, we just need to celebrate it more.
Yes.
And you guys, like the love that you feel is probably no different than a lot of other people and how they feel for their kids or how they feel for their parents, but to be open about it and to talk about it.
Yes.
And I think even just your ability to express love so freely, and I see it, I'm not that much older than them, but I am older, And I have no doubt about what we're headed for in the future. My sister says this all the time. We're going to be okay. Have you heard them? Like their base and how they operate and how they think and how they prioritize what's real and what's important. At a time when I was their age, I was thinking about being, cool. Am I on the right track? Do I make the right grade? Like my ambitions were outside of myself. And these guys are so much more grounded. Like, I have no doubt about what the future holds because of who they get to be.
That's right.
And who they are right now and what they value.
And they're already making an impression.
They're already doing it. They're
That's
already
right.
doing it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah,
And
I'm grateful to you just letting me be a part of your orbit.
really,
Because
no,
you guys make me better. All
every
of
single day I learn from you like even Hector. I learn from Hector too because he's more outspoken. I'm learning how I take that from him, and he's really good
I mean,
at that.
I say a lot of stupid things most
Yeah.
of
No,
the
you
time, but
don't.
there's always
we know.
like 2 cool things that I say.
We're listening. We're listening.
We hear you. Hey, behold the turtle who only makes progress when he sticks his neck out. If you're not making any mistakes, you're not moving.
Yeah.
Don't worry about
Yeah.
it.
Well, thank you for sharing your son.
You're welcome.
I feel like we got a dose of Palm Springs today.
There you go. There you go. And she meant S-U-N, not S-O-N.
Yeah, because you had 2 sons. I meant
right.
S-U-N. Palm Springs.
That's right. You saw a moment in the sun of the Becerra family.
Thank you for sharing.
And thank you for inviting us, Hector. We really appreciate it. We're grateful, and we're here for you anytime. You already know.
We're going next Sunday for mimosas.
Awesome.
Thank you, Ruben. Thank you for coming out, and you enjoy the rest of your South by.
We're going to sneak into South by over there right now and take a peek and go have lunch and
Go do
wander around the Austin vibe.
Go do
It's
it.
a great place to be.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.